Well, good evening and welcome once again to Letchworth Cable Access. I'm Kyle Adamczak, and tonight we have as our guests Crocodile Crystal Poyfair and her son Seth Poyfair. And they're here representing Prehistoric World and Repco Wildlife Encounters, which is located here in Perry, New York. Thank you for coming in tonight.
Well, thank you very much for inviting us to be here. We're super excited to, be able to share some of our interesting stories over the years with you guys.
Well, what is Prehistoric World?
So Prehistoric World is an interactive reptile zoo. As far as I know, I am the first woman in the United States to actually open up a reptile zoo. There are others in different states across the country, but I don't know of any other woman who is quite like me. So we have people come in, they pay admission, and they get to talk with several of the zookeepers. They get to touch and hold the animals. They can feed the animals. We're very hands-on and interactive with our guests because we believe that more than just looking at an animal like on a TV screen or, through glass at, say like one of the other zoos, we found that if children are able to touch the animals, they build more compassion and they try to save the things that they love. So that's something that definitely is kind of near and dear to our hearts, is having that hands-on interaction.
What's your role, Seth, at Prehistoric World?
So I'm the assistant director.
And Crystal's the director.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, absolutely. So I handle virtually all the tasks that she does. Emails, phone calls, animal keep up care, dealing with customers. Just about anything and everything is my job.
I'm not tech savvy, so he is definitely the man that does the websites and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
I could do social media, like Facebook and Instagram, but yeah, I make him do all that computer stuff.
So you have kind of like a museum, and it's located in Perry.
Yes, 14 Lake Street, right off Main Street here. And
what are the hours?
So the hours vary. Monday, we are open from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Tuesday, from noon to 4. Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thursday, 4 to 7. Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, also 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So the weekends are definitely our longest hours.
You also house in there an entity called Repco Wildlife Encounters. What does Repco stand for?
Research, education, propagation, conservation, and outreach. And that is kind of like, we started out as breeders for the pet industry, and then we discovered that we actually enjoyed education much more. So that's when we opened up Repco Wildlife Encounters, and we travel across the United States to schools, libraries, museums, campgrounds, festivals, you name it. And we do educational programs for children and adults as well, and teach them about wildlife, conservation, biodiversity. We also, before COVID, were very hands-on, with the crowd, being able to have volunteers and stuff. And as we, traveled all over, everybody was always like, this is great that you have these 10 species, but we'd like to see everything that you work with, because we do a lot of work with a bunch of different species behind the scenes too. We work with over 100 different species. So that's when we got the idea to open up the zoo so that people could come to us and be able to see all the different animals that we work with, not just that tiny sample that we bring with us during the travel shows.
So that's how you came to start
the Prehistoric World.
Prehistoric World. Now, why did you choose Perry as a site for the museum?
So I've lived in Western New York before. My husband is actually from the area. I grew up as a Navy brat, so I've lived all over the U.S. And while we were here, I totally fell in love with the region. It's very beautiful. The people are great. I know a lot of people are kind of surprised by that for some reason. They think New Yorkers is, being kind of gruff and rude and stuff. But no, they're actually I've met so many amazing people here. I love the community, and that's what a lot of America is missing, is actually the community. And just the landscape, the architecture, everything around here, I just love. I got talked into leaving the area about 3.5 years ago to help a friend open up a reptile zoo in another state. And I found out that I'm not really a Metro Detroit kind of gal, and definitely wanted to come back. Got in touch with the Wyoming County IDA, and we worked over a period of close to 3 years to get this all, set up, and they. Yeah, go ahead.
And we picked Perry. The Wyoming County IDA helped us with that because of its proximity to Letchworth State Park is a greatly traveled location, and they were looking into creating kind of a destination with different experiences. So there's different food places.
Yeah, like a tourism destination.
Did you get a lot of tourists from the park this year?
We just opened up in October, so I'm expecting next summer we'll really see, the big influx with that. Right now we're getting a lot of the locals, which we're very, very grateful for. They've been fantastic with supporting us.
Now you offer some interesting programs at the museum. Can you tell us about them?
As far as like
birthday parties.
Yes, we definitely do birthday parties on site and off site as well, so we can come to you.
What's a birthday party like at the Prehistoric World?
So you get your own private area. You get it for 2 hours. You can bring your gifts, food, birthday cake, all that kind of stuff. You get 2 hours to yourselves. We do a private show for you and your guests, and everybody gets to touch the animals. And then afterwards, once your time is up, everybody in your group also gets a free tour of the zoo as well. That's not in that 2-hour time frame. You can stay as long as you want.
You mentioned the animals. I was remiss in not asking, what kinds of animals do you have in the museum? Would you care to tell us, Seth?
Yeah, so we work with a wide variety of reptiles and amphibians. That's our so snakes, lizards, newts and salamanders, frogs and toads, turtles, tortoises, and of course we're always looking to expand. We are opening up what's called Site B. We have 2 adjacent buildings rented out. Right now we only have one open, and this Saturday we're opening up the second one. And the second one will also include invertebrates, which include spiders and scorpions and things like that. But reptiles and amphibians are the biggest draw, and that's the biggest amount of animals we have. So yeah.
Now, you do programs for schools and libraries. You said you tour the United States doing those.
Yes.
On average, how many of them do you do a year?
Oh gosh, several hundred.
Yeah.
For sure. We do the state of Texas, we go to West Virginia, Chicago, New York, we've done Connecticut, and not even just live shows too. Like we've also done virtual shows for California, Kentucky. So we're just all over the place.
Now, you offer interesting interactions with the museum patrons. Can you tell us about those?
So we do offer feeding interactions is one of the things, and that's where you
I could go and feed the animals.
Right, and you can choose if you want something like you want to feed a vegetarian, you want things kind of laid back, maybe feed some lettuce to a tortoise. But if you want a little bit more excitement, we do have the carnivores, and you can take crickets and feed some of the lizards and watch them hunt their prey and grab it. It's kind of like a little Jurassic Park scene going on. So,
do you have photo opportunities?
Absolutely. We offer, it could be individual or even family photos. And we have a Jurassic World display that people can stand in front of and hold an animal and get their picture taken. They get a physical copy, and they also get a digital copy as well.
Do you have giant snakes, boa constrictors?
Oh, definitely have boas and quite a few surprises coming up. That's all I can say about that.
So you're expanding.
Yes,
menagerie.
absolutely.
What is the Zookeeper for a Day program, Seth?
So the Zookeeper for a Day is it's a chance for a patron, whether they're an older child or an adult, that wants to get a chance to do a lot of the work that we do with the animals. So they're not just coming in and just touching them. They're also getting to design cages, clean cages, sometimes even medication, because animals need medications and whatnot too. So medicating,
Feeding, watering.
feeding more than just the animals we routinely offer to patrons. So and it's like a nice look behind the scenes, so yes.
What do patrons, when they do the zookeeper for a day, how does it open their eyes? Do they encounter the unexpected?
Well,
do they have a preconceived notion what a zookeeper is?
Yeah, so we actually already have had somebody do the program. He was a younger boy, and he was it was fun. We had to transfer like animals from one enclosure to another, and he was really surprised that he got to handle that and find out just how difficult it is to try and make sure that a gecko gets from one place to the next. Because a lot of times we bring out the easiest going animals for people to touch. The ones that we know we're not going to have to run and chase and all that. So whenever you're zookeeper for a day, you have to work with more than just the standard show animals, and that's when it gets interesting.
If you're just tuning in, our guests tonight are Crocodile Crystal Poyfair and Seth Poyfair, who are of Prehistoric World, which is a reptile museum located in Perry, New York. You do rescue and rehabilitation work, don't you?
Yes, definitely. We take in rescues. We've gotten surrenders. One of the cases is a sulcata tortoise that we call Demolition Dan. He was actually dropped off on a doorstep in a cardboard box covered in 4 inches of his own feces. We have another one, Conan, who's a tegu lizard from South America that somebody had as a pet, didn't take care of him properly, and he had metabolic bone disease, so we had to nurse him back to health. Some of our animals are DEC confiscations. I've trained U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, New York DEC, local law enforcement, and how to handle venomous snakes and crocodilians during drug raids and illegal animal confiscations. So we have like animals from all kinds of, different backgrounds and stories and whatnot. Some of them are animals that, I've actually purchased. I work with other captive breeders across the United States. Some of the animals that we work with are endangered, and that's great to always sit there and teach the kids about as well, because a lot of kids don't realize just how endangered some of these species are.
You mentioned you worked with law enforcement, training them on how to handle dangerous animals.
Yes.
If I go into my basement and there's a crocodile down there, what should I do?
Totally jump on it, wrestle around, Okay. If you don't want to Steve Irwin it up, all right, you could definitely give us a call, 585-356-3312. And, we could definitely, get it, have DEC get it. There's, various entities that can help you out. Hopefully you don't have crocodiles in your basement.
So how do you handle that? I mean, what's the first thing you do if there's a dangerous snake or a crocodile or an alligator?
As far as dangerous snakes go, we actually have tools that we use, tongs and hooks, and there's even special like nets and I hate to call them garbage cans, but I don't know what else to call. They look like a garbage can. They have a special like lid that seals that we can transfer the animals in. So we actually, have to go in with, and one of the tongs that we have is 5 feet long, so that it really puts a big, exactly between us and the animal.
What are some that you've had to capture?
Some of the venomous that I've worked with have been cobras, spitting cobras, and also like monocle cobras and stuff. I have worked with rhinoceros vipers, cottonmouths, copperheads, western diamondback rattlesnakes. Oh my gosh, there's like a huge
These are
list.
animals that some people had as pets, or were they guarding something?
So some of them were as people's pets, but in New York City back in the day, they would use pit bulls to guard the drugs and the stash. Well, they decided to up the ante and they go to Pennsylvania, where it is 100% legal to buy a Nile crocodile or a cobra as a pet. You can go to like any, pet store or reptile expo. There's nobody at the state lines, stopping you going, do you have a cobra in your car? Whenever you're going back to New York. So they were putting like cobras and stuff like that inside their apartment. So whenever they would do the drug raids, when they're kicking in the door, they might expect a dog like the pit bull, but they're not expecting a cobra to be hooding up in their face. Pennsylvania has some interesting laws. It is illegal to have like the cute little furry pets that we can get in New York, like sugar gliders and hedgehogs and stuff like that. But cobras and Nile crocodiles, A-okay.
Now, if you train law enforcement, if you're not available and they bust in the door and there's a king cobra waiting for them and they've had training from you, what's the first thing they do? Shut the door?
There was
Instinctually, probably so.
there was a joke one time that they would call. But definitely I can't be like 7 hours away instantaneously. But they actually usually in those situations have tools in their vehicle if they think it's going to be something like that. They're not allowed to just like randomly shoot. Particularly like with cobras, they move completely different. It's almost like they glide. It's a movement like I've never seen before, and I've worked with all kinds of different species of snakes. So, in an apartment complex, you can't be like, as it's gliding around, just like shooting randomly, you're going to go into a wall, shoot into the neighbor's house or something. Also, they have laws where the animals have to be kept alive during the court process. So they also can't euthanize the animals, we'll say euthanize the animals before the court case is over. So they definitely have to take tools to grab these guys and to be able to safely secure them. And then they usually wind up with people like us or other people in the state that also have licenses for those types of animals.
So you work with law enforcement. You also work with children. Do you enjoy that?
Yes. There are a lot of children that just don't go outside and get off the screen enough. A lot of kids are like, in front of, their cell phones and their computers and stuff. So I love having that opportunity to be able to try to get them interested in nature again and to spend time outdoors, whether it's playing in the yard or going camping, and to not only be able to recognize, animals from other countries, but to be able to actually go out in their own yard and identify native species. They say if you ask a child 10 like African species, they can name them off: elephant, lion, hippo, et cetera, et cetera. But if you ask them what 10 native species are to their area or even their state, they can't not name it. So that's something we try to encourage too, is, know your local stuff.
Now, has your mother been involved with this all your lifetime?
Nearly all of it. There was actually a time in which she used to be afraid of snakes. At one point, it was 1999, I believe, that you got the first two little baby snakes. So that was over 20 years ago now. So she got a baby corn snake and a baby hognose snake, and these are two smaller species that are kind of more docile and pet trade kind of animals. And yes, we had those, and she kind of fell in love with the idea of reptiles. So that kind of snowballed from there. The collection kind of started getting bigger, and I think that it kind of became your calling, because next thing you got lizards and turtles and all these cool things. So I think that was when you realized, yes, this is absolutely something I want to work with.
So you had these all as your private pets.
Yeah, in the beginning, and then we started, breeding for like pet stores and stuff like that, and it just kind of kept escalating. When we lived in Batavia, we actually had a warehouse and 2 offices where we bred animals like bearded dragons and stuff for Country Max and other pet stores. We would ship across the United States. So
Seth, well, you were a child when she got her first two snakes. What was it like growing up with all these animals?
Great question. It was honestly not too much different. I was certainly the child in the classroom that wasn't afraid if a lizard hopped in the classroom. We used to live down south, so that was where something like that can actually happen. A little skink or whatever. I have distinct memories of the girls and the boys sometimes flipping out, jumping on tables and whatnot because of little lizards in the classroom. Like, I got this, guys. So I'd say really that's the only difference, other than maybe increased empathy. I learned to like a lot of different animals.
Was there anything in your childhood that hinted that you would be the curator, director of a Prehistoric World museum?
So when I was a little girl, I loved all animals, but I, for whatever reason, had a particular passion for like dinosaur toys and movies, King Kong, Godzilla. I can remember, this drove my dad crazy when I was a little girl. We went to see Sleeping Beauty, the Disney cartoon, right?
Yes.
And the bad queen or whatever turned into a dragon.
Incredible dragon.
Yes. And it got slain, and I cried because the dragon died. And my dad's like, it's a bad guy. I was like, I like the dragon. They took me to see The Rescuers. And there was a bad lady. They're always bad. Anyways, there's a bad lady. She's got 2 pet alligators, And I was like, ooh, I want 2 pet alligators when I grow up. And my mom said, you can't have pet alligators. Well, anyways, you'll find out. Top secret. But, so anytime my mom said, you can't have those, it took decades, but gosh darn it, I got them. Let's just put it that way. So be careful what you tell your kids.
So you grew up in different locations. You said you were a service brat?
Yeah, my dad was in the Navy, so I've lived, South Carolina, Virginia, Connecticut, basically up and down the East Coast. So, and then as an adult, I've lived in various places as well, Florida, Texas, New York, Michigan. Am I missing any states?
You had for a while a classmate that's famous, Pharrell Williams. What do you remember of him? He's the famous singer in rap.
Yes, and he actually writes a lot of songs too. It's always kind of amazing whenever you go to school with people, you never know who they're going to wind up, being. I'm sure none of my classmates thought I would wind up, opening up a reptile zoo or whatever. But Pharrell, he was just always very focused and dedicated, and music was his passion more than anything else. And he would be passing out flyers, at high school and stuff like that, trying to get people to come and see him. And there was definitely kids that would go and see their band and stuff, but I don't think any of us ever really thought he would make it as big as what he did. So then when you start seeing him on MTV with Snoop Dogg and Madonna and stuff, you're like, what? So it's kind of interesting for sure.
Yes. Do you have a favorite animal?
It is a tie between crocodilians and monitor lizards. They're both actually highly intelligent species, and I really enjoy that. Everybody always seems to like snakes the most, and it's not that I'm anti-snake. I like snakes, but they seem to be more primitive-minded, and I enjoy the reptiles that really have a higher intelligence level and they can actually learn. I like the tegu lizard, for instance, can actually count. You can train them by voice command just like you do a dog. Very intelligent animals, so I tend to, kind of focus on those as my favorites for sure.
You use the word crocodilians. Is that the reptile family that houses alligators and crocodiles?
Yep, crocodiles, alligators, caimans, gharials. Yep, absolutely.
What about you, Seth? Do you have a favorite animal?
Yes, the tiger.
Which we do not have.
Which we do not have, no.
Have you ever gotten up close to a tiger? Worked with one?
Yes, long time ago. Was it North Carolina?
It was in North Carolina, like around the Raleigh area.
Yeah, I think it was outside of a reptile
I would
show.
just like to say it was not at, the Tiger King
It's
Joe
not
Exotic's
Joe
place, just
Tiger,
saying.
Yes. But yes, I got to hold a baby tiger. That was amazing. I still have the picture of it. It was just, it's it's always neat to, even as a small, they're just so powerful.
So you didn't get into a cage and put your head in?
No, and I love tigers, but I also will certainly respect them. And I will say that all the species we have at Prehistoric World aren't nearly as dangerous as a tiger. That's for sure. I don't think we have anybody who could even remotely kill us, unless really bizarre accident. Yeah.
Have you ever encountered a Komodo dragon?
I actually have been to a zoo in Pennsylvania, and I was behind the scenes there, and I was actually with the Aldabra tortoises, and the Komodos were in an enclosure right next to us. And I had seen the female digging around when I was out front. And as I came out behind the Aldabra tortoise enclosures, behind the scenes, one of the zookeepers came out in the hallway, and she said, "Look what I got." And it was a big Komodo dragon egg in there. So that was really cool to be able to see in person. I didn't think I'd ever see something like that, in my lifetime. So that was cool.
Well, we're just about out of time. I want to thank you for coming in. Our guests tonight were Crocodile Crystal Poyfair and Seth Poyfair, who are directors at Prehistoric World and Repco Wildlife Encounters. Again, where are you located?
We are located at 14 Lake Street in Perry, New York.
And the hours of the museum are what?
Monday, 4 to 7 p.m. Tuesday, 12 to 4 p.m. Wednesday, 11 to 5. Those Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Thursdays, 4 to 7 p.m. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're open from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m.
And if somebody wants to contact you, get information about some of your programs, how would they go about doing that?
One of the ways is by telephone. They can call or text 585-356-3312, or they can go on our website, which is prehistoricworld.org. Yes, they can get information on that as well, and then they can also email us at prehistoricworldny, yes, at gmail.com.
Well, so you have plans for expansion.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll look forward. Maybe we'll have you back and you can tell us about them. Maybe bring in the Komodo dragon.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you for coming in tonight. I'm Kyle Adamczak. This is Letchworth Cable Access. We thank you for watching. Good night.